Hello, my name is Jasmine from Parents World. We have a Parents World Let's Talk, and we're going to talk about World Mental Health Day, which is happened on the 10th October. With me is Ping Chi. Hi, Ping Chi. And let's talk about mom's health today. To begin with, can you tell me or our audience more about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Ping Chi. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I'm also a mother of two. So recently we started Holding Ground, which is a private psychology practice, and this is actually a maternal wellness practice. And me and my co-founder, we're actually the first Singaporean psychologists to be perinatal mental health certified. Yeah. And I have about 10 years of experience working with adolescents, adults, and children as well.
That's good. And I understand you're a mother of two yourself. Okay. So I think speaking from experience, I think she's the right person because she's a mom of two as well. Yeah. So why did you decide to pursue a maternity mental wellness?
Yeah, so actually this was something, so I actually got the certification in 2021. So this was shortly after the whole COVID situation. So I became a mom. I had two children, right? So my first child, I had her when I was in 2019. So after that, when she turned one, that was when COVID happened and things like that. And I felt with my first pregnancy, my first child, it was very difficult for me, to be honest. I think I struggled a lot, and even with my clinical background, I thought that I would have this. Yes. It shouldn't be so difficult. I know what to expect. I know what to prepare. Emotionally, mentally, I should be able to cope with this. Yeah, but I think for me, my personal journey was very, very difficult. And at a point, I do recognize the benefits of therapy because being a clinician myself. So I did look around for other psychologists, whether they could provide that service. But that was when I noticed there's a gap, in Singapore. Like in the States, it's quite popular. Like having perinatal mental health specialists, it's quite readily available. But in Singapore, I didn't actually manage to find anyone. And I think the only contact I had with this person who had that sort of background, I felt that she couldn't really understand a lot of the Asian cultural nuances, like things like interactions with your mother-in-law, having to go through confinement, things like that, the expectations. I think a lot of the Asian cultural values, she couldn't really understand where I was coming from. So I didn't really feel very supported. And this was really what got me thinking, there is a gap. And through my experience and talking to my friends, even my colleagues, I realized that it's not just me that's struggling with this. A lot of mothers out there are also struggling with this. And why are we not talking about this more? Why are we not allowing mothers to actually have a place, have a platform, to come and actually talk about the struggles of motherhood? Because it is a very big change. It is a transition. It's an adjustment.
Sure. So before we go further, I have one question that I am also mother of two, and I fully understand about postnatal depressions for all moms that has been go through childbirth. And for yourself, as a mental health practitioner, what is it that you think the main cause of this, from personal experience? Let's hear from her.
So I think with postnatal depression, it's every mother's journey is very unique.
Yes.
And it's really very individual. It's hard to say what would result. We do know that there are certain factors that are more likely to create or more likely to cause a mother, to experience some of this depressive or anxiety symptoms. So it could be having a history of mental issues, right? So perhaps when they were younger, they struggle with
family,
struggle with anxiety, struggle with a little bit of depression.
It can be a family inheritance.
Yes, also some genetic predisposition as well.
So it's not totally your fault.
No, it's not.
Sometimes it's genetic.
Yeah, and I think in the current society, there's a lot of expectations that is being placed on others. You got to be a good wife, you got to be a good worker. As moms, a lot of times we are working as well, right? You still got to remain giving good quality work despite being pregnant, despite being a mom, and yet at home you still expect to be 100% mom, right? You can't seem to I need to be able to give the best to my kid. I can't take away food and serve that to my kid. I need to be able to give healthy home cooked meals. So I think there's a
A
lot,
lot of pressure, I guess.
yeah, a lot of expectations, and I think it's also generally the Asian culture. A lot of times we like to dish out advice, right? To people. So like you might hear advice from your friends, you might hear advice from your parents, you might hear advice from other adults, and I think that sometimes just creates a lot of pressure, a lot of expectations from the mom on I need to be a certain way. This is the mom, this is the perfect mom. And every time a mom falls short, then they feel like I'm not good enough, right? And this ranges from like breastfeeding, should I breastfeed or not? Sleep training, why is my baby not sleeping? Should I be training him? Should I be carrying him to sleep? So just a lot of different information. I think it's just too overwhelming.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what kind of maternal mental health issue do you come across in your practice?
So usually for us, we tend to see two groups of moms. One is the one before they actually give birth, right? So pre-pregnancy. The other one is after they've given birth. So for the pre-pregnancy, we do see things like maybe they went through multiple failed IVFs. So there is a lot of anxiety, pressure. Like, is there something wrong with me? Like, why is it so hard for me to get pregnant?
Yes.
And for some, it could be like, they actually had a successful pregnancy, but unfortunately, it was not, the pregnancy didn't go all the way to full term, and they lost the child. So sometimes they come in with talking about the loss as well. I did get a few moms who present with OCD symptoms. So, because of the pregnancy, they started to get very fearful. And I think it's the whole COVID situation, right? So they got a little bit worried, like, I don't want people coming to my house. They're worried about cleanliness. They're worried about the food that they're eating. They're worried about the things that they're doing. So we do tend to see a lot more of the anxiety kind of moms before pregnancy. Then the ones that come in after they did give birth, right? So that's when you see a lot more of I can't manage. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not sleeping well. I'm not eating well. I'm just constantly feeling very upset. I don't know how to manage my kid that's crying. So a lot more of the depressive symptoms that come in after birth. And then you have moms coming in with maybe children of an older age. So the 2 to 3 year olds. Then they come in because a lot more anger. They display a lot more anger. They feel a lot more irritated, and they wonder, why am I always?
It's so terrible too.
That. But at the same time, I think it's also because a lot of times what happens is they don't realize that they have already been feeling overwhelmed since birth, right?
So it's accumulated.
Yes, correct. And it's usually
mental
it's usually when the child reaches 2 to 3 years old, and when they're very verbal and stuff like that, then moms realize, I cannot manage this. And because emotionally they are already so overwhelmed. And it's
so weak at the beginning.
Correct. So every time the toddler throws a tantrum, they realize, I can't cope with this. So then that's where they react very aggressively, sometimes scolding, caning, and that's where everything comes up, right? And moms come in seeking help, saying I don't want to do this to my son anymore. I don't want to be hitting him. I don't want to be yelling and shouting at him. I know it's not good, but I can't seem to control myself. So that's when things get to us, to the mom, it's to a point where they realize that I need to do something.
Yes, I think always there is a saying here that a happy mom is a happy home.
Yes.
So the mom must be happy, so the kids happy, the husband happy, the family happy. So I think it's a good one. And what kind of help and support can mom expect when they approach a perinatal health practitioner like yourself?
Okay, so typically for holding ground, right, what we do is the first session is it's like a screening, right? So we come in, really just want to understand why the mom is here, right? What are some of the things that she might be concerned about? What are some of the things that maybe she might find very challenging, whether it's pregnancy or the parenthood itself. So we'll try to understand what the needs are. And then together we'll have a discussion, right? Or okay, if you think that this is very important for you and this is something that you want to work on, then we'll discuss the type of approaches that we can actually do together in the session. So the subsequent sessions may include things like maybe psychoeducation, so providing information, education a little bit about perinatal mental health, like what are some of the symptoms to look up for, what are your warning signs, that maybe this is my breaking point, right? And then after that, a lot of times we work through our coping skills, some strategies on how moms can equip themselves, to be a little bit more emotionally resilient, and try to take care of themselves so that they're able to take care of their child and also to be able to be present for their family.
Sure. So in your professional observations, right, are perinatal mental health issues temporary in the nature or they stand out from a deeper mental health issue?
Okay. So for this, right, I feel like it varies, right? The perinatal mental health issues can be temporary. So because a lot of times it's because of hormones plus the different set of challenges and expectations that come to mom during that period of pregnancy and that period of parenthood. So some of them can be temporary and it's really just that adjustment phase. But moms may need certain moms may feel like they need support, to be able to adjust adequately in that phase. But of course, there are also other group of people, other kind of clients that we have seen that the mental health issues are actually amplified because of the pregnancy journey, right? So they could have really been suffering from, maybe just very sensitive changes, just not dealing well emotionally, and that the pregnancy and motherhood is just taking that on. Yeah, so then it amplifies, and then that's when you see the mental health symptoms coming up. Yeah, so which is why when every client comes in, it has to be very individualized. We don't really have a set of like, oh, these are the normal sessions and this is what. Yeah, correct. So we need to understand what is for this particular client, what are some of the underlying issues that's happening, how's the environment like, and then how can we then plug in some of those support for them to help boost up their support system.
So normally, like which sections and portals that they can, I think it's vary, right? And that what's the like minimum session they have to go to, or no maximum, I guess. It's like for you to understand before you can find a solution,
I mean, for some cases, it can be as short as like 6 to 8 sessions. So 6 to 8 sessions usually would be sufficient. So if it's, for some mothers, if it's really just about understanding themselves a little bit better, so they can identify what kind of mother they want to be, right? So it's a lot more of self-discovery, more of that personal growth. Then maybe just 6 sessions to 8 sessions will be sufficient. But for mothers who are struggling a lot more complex issues, like maybe a history of like, maybe not very good sort of growing up environment, and then they struggle with, then what kind of mother do I want to be my child? Because I know this kind of environment is not good, but unintentionally some of those trauma experiences could have also been passed down, right?
Yes.
And they want to break out of it, but they struggle to break out of it because emotionally they did model from their own parents as well. So for those cases, sometimes it can take very long, like a year or even longer than that.
Understand. So often mothers might not even realize that they actually have a mental health issue. And can you pinpoint like the triggers that makes moms or signs to look for that they actually need support, they cannot cope?
Yeah, so I mean, it's quite common for moms to experience what we call as baby blues, right?
Baby blues,
yeah. So
the hormone.
Yeah, it's a hormonal change. So it does make you feel like, you are feeling on edge, or feeling very down, feeling very blue. But the thing about baby blues is it's temporary. So it typically lasts for up to 2 weeks only.
2 weeks?
Yeah, and anything more than 2 weeks.
I think I got more longer for my mental, not say mental, they have blue.
Blues was longer.
Yes. Mental blue depression or whatever you call it.
Yeah. If it's existing more than 2 weeks,
quite short.
Yeah, it's quite short. But so it's more than 2 weeks, sometimes it does suggest that.
I think it's the stress of work, like you said, the expectation of family and expectation of yourself. Like you want to be the best mom as you can. It adds one.
Yeah, definitely. So for some moms, what we tell them is if you realize that you can't seem to find anything that's positive, especially with like interaction with your children. I think that's a very obvious sign. So we have moms coming in telling us things like, I don't even want to pick the child up from school. Like the thought about it's almost like time for pickup stresses her out because she's like, when he comes back, he's just crying, he's just throwing a tantrum. I just can't deal with it. So that are usually signs that tells you, hey, maybe something's going on, right? And we do have moms saying like, every time she showers, she feels like that's the only time, and she'll be crying in the shower and like, so you would know that something's going on.
Yeah, something is not normal, that you realize it on yourself, that you need to seek help. So if anyone, our readers have this kind of symptom, please look for perinatal mental support.
Yeah, and I think it's not just for moms to know. I think husbands, right, or even the other family members living in their household need to be aware, because sometimes mom, they are just so caught up in their own emotions. They're not gonna be like sharing like, oh no, I really feel talk to someone. But I think even for spouses, or even for like the mother or the mother-in-law living in the household, if you do notice like the mom is socially more withdrawn, like not really wanting to talk much, or even just feeling very tired all the time, and or even just being very easily irritable, right? And any little sort of thing will explode and just like, why is this happening? So if you notice large changes in their mood swings, all this could also suggest, that maybe she might need more support. And I think that's definitely that conversation that needs to happen.
Yes. I guess I would like to share with readers that it's okay to find that you are not okay.
Yes,
You don't expect that everyone should be okay all the time. So when you feel you're not okay, I think it's good to seek help before it's too late. Yeah. So often mothers, even may not realize, like I mentioned, that they are facing a mental health issue. So some they may want to seek help, but it's like they are not willing to share their personal stories to others because they feel like maybe this is the way they are. Yeah. So I think what kind of advice do you expect for a new mom to cope on the changes of this childbirth, changes on their body, and also taking care of their own self, as well as their mental health? Like any kind of advice?
So I think a lot of times, I feel you can never prepare for motherhood.
Agree.
I think you can have all the preparation in the world, but every child is different, just like how every mother is different. And what you prepare may not be what is happening. But I mean, that aside, I do think that you should still have certain kind of preparations, and the most important one is having conversations with people. So I think if the spouse is really that supportive figure in your life, mom should have that conversations together with their partner.
Since you're talking about like spouse, how do you think is like any advice for spouse or a relative, or even like mom surroundings about this, to support moms, mental health of moms.
Yeah.
Moms.
So it's the communication is really very important. So having conversations about things like the workload, right? So like after giving birth, right? Who's going to take care of the feeding, the night feeding? Who's going to take care of the laundry? Who's going to be helping to cook the dishes? Cook the meals? Who's going to wash the dishes? So really listing down all these different tasks, not just for the baby, not just for the mother, not just for the husband, but just everything that you can think of in the house that needs to be done has to be written down, and then you'll have that conversation. Who's going to do it? Because when the baby comes, no one's going to have that time and the space to discuss any of this. And half of mom be like, why is this not being done? Why am I expected to do this? But because no one talked about it, right? And now we are all thinking like it should be done, but why is it not done? And I think it's also getting like, I think the best thing you can always do for a mom, if you ever for friends, for family members, if you ever visit someone who's a mom, don't go there and just play with the baby. I feel like that it's not really helpful for the mom, because everyone gives attention to the baby. But yes, we understand that it's a very joyful thing. The baby is new to the world, but so is the mom. The mom is new to this. The mom has just gone through
traumatic experience.
Yes, right. Her whole body has changed. Everything she has come to know about herself is going to change.
Yes.
Right? So give attention to the mom. Hold the baby, tell the mom, go take a 15-minute nap, go take the shower, I'll hold the baby for you. Right? So offer practical help. Offer help that will make them feel like they can actually take a break. That they don't have to be around the baby, or just focus on the baby often, so that the mom can actually focus on herself also.
So I guess, like moms always preparing like list what to bring to hospital, what to bring to, so now is the list on how you divide your roles. When your baby is coming out. I think something's new that is very interesting, that everyone has forget that when the baby is home, there is a set of rule and a list that can help the new mom. With the new responsibility. That's a good one. Yes. And Yeah, for those audience who want to approach holding ground, or you with your perinatal mental health issue, can you briefly guide on how can they do so and how can you help?
So, I mean, for those who are interested to find out more, you can really just go onto our website. So if you Google Holding Ground SG, it should come up. But if not, it's www.holdingground.sg. Or you can even find us on like Instagram and Facebook, and you can just message us and reach out to us. And then I think for us, it's really we need to know what are some of the challenges that you're facing or what some of the needs are. I think then that's when we can have that discussion. So this was something that we also will offer parents, world audience, is that we actually are going to give you like a free 15 minutes consultation call. So if you do reach out to us, we can have that consultation call to really find out more before we actually talk about how the sessions are going to look like. Yeah, and we do understand that it's hard for moms to be able to come up after giving birth, for sessions. So we do definitely do virtual sessions also. So that can be an option. For mothers who are willing to actually, I want to get out of the house,
Yes.
right? Just let us know, because we can actually our space is baby proof. And what we can do is really set up some stuff for you, like having diapers ready or having changing station ready. So you can actually bring your baby along for the session, and you'll be able to get the support you need, while also not having to worry about leaving your baby at home.
So is there, just a question, is there any like home visit as well that you do?
For now we don't.
You don't.
Yeah, but because I think it's another dynamic in the house. Not all moms might be comfortable,
Okay.
with us going to the house. So I think unless there are requests for it, it's definitely something we can consider.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there any last advice for moms who just go through this experience of being a new mom, or even normal moms who already have kids who needs help? Is there any?
Yeah, so I think for myself, one of the greatest thing I felt was, as a mother, we a lot of times feel we cannot tell people that we are not okay.
Yeah.
Like it feels almost as if you're admitting to, I have failed as a mom. So I really would like to encourage everyone to think, to sort of reframe this thinking one. And that's what Holding Ground really wants to do. We want to be able to shift the narrative that taking care of yourself doesn't mean that you have failed as a mom, but you need to be the best version of yourself to be able to be present for the baby and even to be present for your family. So taking care of yourself is the priority. If you consider the perspective. If we are showing our children that it's okay to not care about ourselves and put other people first, right? And what is the message that you're actually telling our children? That your needs are not important.
Yes.
Right? You should always put other people's needs before you. And I don't think mothers want to actually send this message to their children, right? So it's really about we are the first role model for our child. And if we are not able to do that, we can't expect our child
Yes.
to also do that.
I think I also learned from experience as a mom myself. You need to take care of yourself first before you can take care of others. And you need to love yourself first before you're taking care of others. So I think it's natural that you need to help yourself first. And when you really need help, doesn't matter where is the help come from, but just ask for help, because no one is perfect.
Yeah.
And no one can do everything on yourself. You still need help. So that's here. We are with Ping Chi today for a very insightful talks about mental health. And thank you, Ping Chi, for your time for this lovely talk. And I hope our readers will get something from this video. And I see you in the next Parents Will Talk.